Hello, I'm David Debato from the No Delusion Zone. This is a live stream. I haven't made too many live streams recently, at least not solo. I have been devoting my time 5 days a week to a live stream that I have been collaborating with my good friend, Jonathan Fink from YouTube's Silicon Curtain. We've been doing that live stream called The Dictators, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern time, continuing that for the foreseeable future. But because of that and some other commitments, I haven't been making virtually any recorded podcast and certainly not live streams. And I thought it was about time that I do so again. And I think what I'm going to try to do anyway is to do live stream, either a recorded podcast or like now, a live stream on the weekends when I am not doing an episode of The Dictators with Jonathan. And today, what I wanted to do in this relatively brief video, this relatively brief live stream, is to talk about a good friend of mine, the United States of America. And I entitled this live stream, America Ain't Dead Yet. And I want to say at the outset that I have been one of the harshest critics of my own country, the United States of America, for quite a while. Specifically starting with the Biden administration and his horrible, anemic support for Ukraine. And I've got many articles that have been published and many podcasts that have also been posted about my disgust, my anger, my rage at President Biden, Joe Biden, for his lack of support for Ukraine. Because if he had supported Ukraine the way he should have, the way that Ukraine and President Zelensky were begging him to do, this war would have been over years ago. And it would have ended in Russia's defeat, Ukraine's victory, and it would have been a different world today. So, when it comes to criticizing my country and criticizing my leadership, whether it's Democrat or Republican, I don't hold back if I think it's a national security risk or it's just not right for democracies anywhere. Obviously, I haven't been too lenient or haven't spared my criticism of our current president, Donald Trump, who I consider not only the worst president in the history of the United States, but one of the worst human beings in the history of the world. And again, the reason I'm making this video, this live stream, is because during the second term of Trump's presidency, which started last year, 2025, on the 20th of January at 12 noon, when he was inaugurated again, since that time, he's done some horrible things. I mean, I'm not going to get into all of that on this brief live stream, but he has basically ruined whatever reputation America had left. And he's made it really tough for people like me who are real patriots, not fake MAGA patriots who have actually served this country in our armed forces. It makes it very difficult for us to stay loyal to our country. But I have to say this. I'm also very disgusted and often enraged about the comments that I see, that I get on either my podcast, after my articles, or on live streams from people that I know have hated America forever, for years, even when we were doing things that no other country did, like supporting other countries by giving massive amounts of aid. For example, after World War II, we were, along with our allies, victorious over Nazi Germany. I'm talking specifically about Europe. Did we colonize Europe? Did we demand a tribute from the countries that we had defeated, specifically Germany? Did we go in there and demand that they now become a vassal state, unlike what Russia did with Eastern Europe? No, what we actually did under the Marshall Plan was to rebuild Germany. Certainly, there were reparations that had to be paid by Nazi Germany, but the United States of America, almost alone, rebuilt Germany, rebuilt Europe. Again, talking about the Marshall Plan. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It was from General and then later Secretary of State and Defense George Marshall. We rebuilt Europe. We didn't have to. Why did we do it? Because we knew it was the right thing to do. That we knew that America should stand for democracy, working with allies, developing friends, developing networks, developing international trade, not crushing our enemies, not making them vassal states, not making them slaves, not demanding permanent tribute from them. And that's what we did. We did it for 80 years. But even during that time, when we were helping nations, even those that we defeated, including Imperial Japan, by the way, we rebuilt Imperial Japan. Didn't have to, but we saw into the future what would be the best thing to do, and we did. But again, even during all that time, there were critics. There were the hate America. We don't trust you. We don't like you. I can't tell you how many times, specifically now talking again about Russia, that I was asked, why am I smiling if I said hello to somebody on the street or smiling? And I said, I don't know. It's because I'm in a good mood. And they said, well, it's a fake smile. Why do Americans smile? And at the time I had to think about it. And I decided many Americans smile when they say hello to a stranger because they're probably happy, probably because they're in a good mood. They're not always depressed and thinking this may be the last day of their life, or even if it's not, it's going to be a gloomy gray day. And what's the point? Like the Russian people did in the Soviet Union and do right now again today under Putin. Just an example of haters. So even during the last 80 years where America was, and I'm going to have to say this, was the shining light on the hill, where tens of millions of people from all over the world wanted to live and did move here, immigrated into America. Why? Because it's a shithole? Why? Because it's horrible? Because we're just a terrible place full of people with phony smiles who you can't trust? No, because we stood for something. We stood for values, democratic values. We stood for human rights. We stood for humanity. Not all of us, of course not. And not all of our leaders were part of that group that believed in democracy or humanity or supporting human rights and spreading or helping to support democracy all over the world, or helping those who were downtrodden and poor and that needed our help. Not every American and not every American leader subscribed to that view, but most did. Were we a racist nation? Yes. Are we still? Yes. Have we always tried to do better? Yes. And that is what, in my opinion, separates us from the rest. We started out writing a constitution, breaking away from England, from the Royal Court of England. And it had never been done before, at least not like us. So we started our country in fire. We started our country as an idea, not as another kingdom. We abhorred royalty and kings. We started it from an idea that all people are created equal. Yes, in the original version, because I'm going to hear it, it said all men are created equal. And for those of you who have or lack critical thinking skills, this was the latter part of the 18th century, folks. That was just the way it was. And yes, we still had slavery at this point. But as Benjamin Franklin said, and I'm paraphrasing it, basically, do you want to have a new nation that we can build on, or do you want to do away with slavery? Because you can't do both. So reluctantly, we allowed slavery to continue, which was an open wound that came back to bite us when we had our Civil War in the 1860s, almost 100 years later. But we started out with an idea that all people are created equal and that human rights are critical, that people have a right to free speech. They have a right to happiness. They have a right to do as they please within reason. They have a right not to live under a dictator and to not be punished for speaking their mind, and on and on and on. We also felt that we have an obligation to help those who are not as lucky, who are not as self-sufficient as us, who were not born in a country that was surrounded by two oceans and relatively safe. We felt a need to help them, and we did for 250 years, and especially after World War II for about 80 years, until our own version of this charming individual, Ivan the Terrible, came about. And that's Donald Trump. Is he as bad as Ivan the Terrible? Am I saying he's a murderous bastard? Yeah, I am. I won't get into specifics about how many people have probably died during Donald Trump's reign, his first and his second one. That's for another podcast, maybe another live stream. But the fact of the matter is, until Donald Trump came on the scene, especially this second time after January 20th of 2025, the United States was a well-respected country. We did help we helped more countries during the 80 years since World War II than any other country in the world. Bar none. And if you don't believe that, look it up. And if you say I'm lying, well, you're full of crap. However, that has stopped. He has ruined our reputation. We may never outgrow or dig ourselves out of the hole that Donald Trump has dug for us. We've lost the trust of our allies. He's bankrupting the country. He is siding with dictators every day instead of our democratic friends, our allies. And I don't know where this will lead, but again, I'm making this relatively short video because I want to say that we ain't dead yet. America's not dead yet. There are 50% of us, meaning 50% of the voters that did not vote for Donald Trump. And veterans like me and others who truly do believe in this imperfect, but the best Constitution that I've seen. A Constitution that's so good that many, many, many other countries have copied it. If it's so bad, why would they? Again, it's imperfect, but humans are imperfect. But in the United States of America, we've always been about change, about self-improvement. Many countries can't say that. In fact, most countries can't say that. We've now been derailed by this psychotic, demented, convicted felon, Trump. And again, as I said, I don't know how long it's going to take for us to get out of this, but we will. Maybe not even during my lifetime, but we will. And I want to put this out there again to all the haters who have never liked America, even when we were in our golden age and doing more for the world than any other country. I say this because you're going to hate. Haters got to hate, as the saying goes. And now I can understand if there's a new generation of haters, but only based on what Donald Trump has done, and to a lesser degree, but still very serious, what Joe Biden did in his lack of support for Ukraine. But we're going back just a few years. We are celebrating our 250th birthday this July, 250 years as a country. And during most of that time, we were pretty damn good. And during the last 80 years, we were the best, bar none. And I am sick at heart, sick to my stomach, nauseous about what this country has become, about the fact that our Congress is useless, has become a cult. And yes, 50% of American voters are in a cult, in a death spiral, worshiping a psychotic criminal. But it hasn't always been that way, and it's not always going to be that way. So haters got to hate. And all I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to close on this, there are 50% of American voters who are just as stubborn and far more patriotic and far more educated than those who support Donald Trump. And they will not stand. Haters, write to me. Say whatever you want. I really don't care. I'm telling you, I'm telling the world, anyone that's listening to this, we will prevail. America will be back again. I don't know how long it will take. I pray that it's relatively soon. I think that it won't, but we will be back because there are tens of millions of Americans who feel just as I do. And that's all for today. I'm getting over a very serious bout of bronchitis, so you might hear that my voice is still not where it is. It's actually going now, so I'm going to end. But I'm going to end on the note that I told you about, the title of this, which is uh, America ain't finished yet. We're not done. We will be back. So please write your comments to this. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of haters, but I'm hoping that some of you get what I'm saying. 50% of us hate what's going on. Should we have allowed it to go on? No. Should more of us have voted? Yes. Should we be doing more? Should the Democrats be doing more? Yes, yes, and yes. And I'm going to make more podcasts, more live streams about that specific topic, what we should be doing, Americans, and specifically Democrats. But my voice is about shot, so I think I'm going to have to wrap it up for now. Thanks for this. Please tell your colleagues, your friends, your families to view this. I'm going to post it as a recording as well, so you can view it later. So please write to me, write on protectingtherepublic.com. Please, www.protectingtherepublic.com. Watch it there. Go there. Write some comments there, and please become a subscriber, preferably a paid subscriber. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button there as well. Thank you, and I will see you next time, possibly as early as tomorrow. You take care and you stay safe.